Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Peace and love. Tonight, your sister, Dr. Maat, will be paying tribute to all of the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. To all of the women under the sound of my voice. Happy Mother's Day. Share the show, family. Let's get some folks in the building. Share this show. Share the show, family.
Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Give you all my love again.
Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through.
All those pain and suffering.
No one knows the pressures you bear, just only you. Come on, y'all. Come on. Share the show. I see people coming in now. Tonight, we will be paying tribute to all of the mothers. Wear that crown.
You maintain your calm towards your only end while sheltering me from the storm. And when it's cold, you wrap me in a towel so warm. Oh my, I'm so glad I was born. Thank you, Mama,
I have my mother in the building tonight, family. Tonight, my mother Anna is in the building. I also have my Aunt Rosa. She's in the building, family. She's in the building. She was a mother to me as well. So they will be joining me after this song, family. I see that my father, he just joined us. He's going to come in to talk about his mother tonight. So, family, we're in the building. Share the show, family.
You're the one who teaches me all the good from the bad. Even when the system keeps pressuring my dad, you got eyes. Thanks be unto most I got. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering.
No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you.
Give you all my love again. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering.
No one.
Vision,
He said, all my visions, aspirations, I owe it to my mama.
I'm a big man now, that's how things go. Things they do to survive, only Jah knows. They're sleep protecting us while watching us grow. You've been up, even when it's on the down low. Work so hard to see us go to school. Blisters on your fingers so they can't take us for food. I'm here for a purpose, I'm here to rule. Most high Jah, Rastafari will see us through.
Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through.
All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. All those pain and suffering. No one knows the pressure you bear, just only you. Oh. Now it's my turn to make life. I'm so mature, you know I've got my kids and my wife. And I'm positive and sure I'm doing fine. And still can do so much more. But prepare me for the future, my love. You deserve. Keep doing your thing while others not knowing. But deep inside your heart, Mama, you know where it was going. And a mother loses and the care for her child that she be showing. Somehow your stars keep glowing.
Thank you, Mama, for the 9 months you carried me through. That was Sizzla. That's one of my favorite reggae artists, Sizzla. Thank you, Mama. So peace and love, family. Happy Mother's Day weekend to all of the mothers under the sound of my voice. I'm sorry, family. But happy Mother's Day to everyone under the sound of my voice. Please, family, share this show. Tonight, your sister, Dr. Maat, will be honoring our mothers. We'll be paying tribute to our mothers. And I have my mother in the building. I know a lot of you always say, Dr. Maat, you're just this dynamic woman. But this dynamic woman was birthed by another woman. And so tonight, family, I'm going to have a conversation with my mother. And not only my mother, my village mothers, all of the women in my village who poured into me. But before we get started, family, again, share this show. And I would like to start off by pouring libations. You know, in African traditions, we pour libations at the beginning of any ceremony. We pour libations. So I want to begin by pouring libations. So I have my plan. I don't know if you all can see it, but my plan is right here to the left of me. And so I will be pouring libation tonight in honor of all of the mothers, those who are still among us and those who have transitioned. Ashe. So I want to first pour libations, pour water to the mother, father, creator of the universe, who have manifested himself, herself, and all of creation and exists within creation. Ashe. Next, I would like to acknowledge Paula Muhammad. We will be laying Paula Muhammad to rest on May the 15th. She was a mother of two. Her children they're celebrating their first Mother's Day without their mother tomorrow. And I think their ages are 11 and 13. So I want to pour libations in honor of Paula, Sister Paula Muhammad. Ashe. Next, I would like to pour libations. Think of all of the mothers in your bloodline, family. Type it in the chat room. All of the mothers that you can think of. I'm going to begin with Evelina McFadden, Myrtle Bailey, Rose Webb, Aunt Bert, Aunt Merrill Lee. Call their names, family. Call their names. All of them in your bloodline. Aunt Merrill Lee, Aunt Bert. I probably had to add my mother to this. So let me add you, Mama. You might want to call out some names. Who else am I forgetting, Mama?
Oh, as far as libation,
Aunt Lucille.
You called Aunt Louise.
Yep, Aunt Louise.
Aunt Hattie.
Aunt Hattie. Ashe.
Grandma Anna.
Grandma Anna. Ashe. Someone in the chat said Evelina Veronica Thomas Stewart. Ashe. Call their names, family. Call their names in the chat. Dr. Betty Shabazz. Ashe. Mother Harriet Tubman. Ashe. Ida B. Wells. Ashe. Fannie Lou Hamer. Ashe. Call their names, family, in the chat. I see you. Call their names in the chat. Mary Scott. Ashe. I'm looking in the chat. All of the mothers you can think of. Coretta Scott King. Ashe. Queen Nzinga. Ashe. Desiree Willock Stewart. Ashe. My Aunt Annie. Ashe. Call them out, family. Patricia Everly. Ashe. Who else, family? I have a little bit of water left. Who else, family? Christine Willie. Or Wiley, I'm sorry. Christine Wiley. Ashe. Mildred Jarrett. Ashe. Call their names, family. Mabel Adams. Ashe. Bobby Jean. Ashe. Janice Vaughn. Ashe. Satanya Ramsey. Ashe. And this is to all of the mothers, those that we could not name, those who are unborn, their children and their children's children. Ashe. 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 Oh. All right. So we have my mother, Anna, on the screen. I see you, Mama. Welcome to the show, Mama. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed. I'm doing great. I wanted to call Rosa's mother, Miss Boone.
Yes, Miss Boone. But she hasn't she didn't transition though, Mama.
No, Rosa's mother is no, she has not transitioned. Thank God she hasn't.
That's why I said, no, hold on, Mama. We don't want to call her. We don't want to call her. No. But I understand. I understand, Mama. But welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Mama. I thank you so much for and I'll mute you while I'm talking because I hear a bit feedback. But Mama, you always taught me to give people their flowers while they can smell them. And I got that from you. And I know you've heard me say that often when I talk on interviews and when I'm out and I'm lecturing. I try to give people their flowers while they can smell them. And I hope, Mama, that I give you flowers as much as you can smell them. I just want to publicly thank you for all of your hard work, Ma, and just making me the woman that I am. A lot of people have reached out to me. Oh, Dr. Maat, you're this, you're that. And I tell them I take no credit for who I am. all of the credit I give to my village. We're just a product, a reflection of our villages, of all of the different people who poured into us. And you've been, an unwavering support, so unwavering force in my life. And so, people say, why do you love children so much? Well, I have a mother who is an educator, who's been an educator for over 35 years in the Baltimore City area. And so my love for children, my love for education came, from you, mother. My desire to even get my PhD. I tell folks, they say, well, why did you get your PhD, Dr. Bailey? What made you get your PhD? And I tell them, well, when I was a child, my mom would have, you remember, mama, you in the den, you hung up different pictures, well, of your degree. So you had a degree from Coppin. I remember when I walked into the den, right on that small wall in the corner, there was a degree hanging from Coppin State University. And then when you turn to the left, you had two degrees on the wall, one from Johns Hopkins University, where you received your Master's of Education, and another degree from Johns Hopkins, where you received your advanced certificate. And I remember saying to myself, I said, I want to surpass my mother in education. If she got to a master's, and they say that the generations are supposed to get better and better, then I need to get a doctorate degree. And so you were the driving force behind me getting a PhD. You were also the driving force behind me pursuing engineering. I remember as a high school student, when I was a high school student, you came home with a magazine and you said, Deanna, you said, yep, you got to figure out what you want to major in. Because, see, family, in my household, going to college, it wasn't an option. It was understood that after high school, you were going to go to college. And I remember my mom came home senior year and she had a magazine and she said, Deanna, you got to figure out what you're going to major in. And at the time, I didn't know. I'm 17, 18, living my best life. I wasn't thinking about a major. And so at the top of the list was engineering. And I remember her saying, she said, Deanna, this is a top paying job right here. This is a top paying field. And I remember saying to myself, well, I am good with math and I am good with science. And that's what engineering is. It's applied math and science. And so my mother and I began searching for schools. And she found out that Morgan State at that particular time had the number one engineering school, in the States. Okay. And so she took me to the open house. We sat there and my mother said, oh no, this is Deanna, this is the move. This is where you're going to go. And so that started my journey. And so, Mom, I just want to thank you, even not even just education wise. I'm thinking about the values and the morals that I operate with today. Those morals and values came from you. A lot of people know that I was born and raised in a Christian household, and they know that you are an ordained minister. So a lot of the values and morals that I operate with on a daily basis these are morals and values that I got from you. So go ahead, Mama. I'm gonna unmute you. I know I said a lot,
Yes,
but I'm gonna go ahead and I wanted to give you your flowers. But go ahead, Mama. You go ahead and speak.
and you do give me my flowers, and I say that we gave my mother her flowers also when she was living. I have many homegoing services for people who have transitioned. And people get up and they say all this stuff and they take up a lot of time. And when I'm officiating, I said, you can't tell it all because there are things that you should have told the person when the person was living, why they could hear it. And that's what we need to do. We need to give people their flowers, tell them that you love them, and do all of that while they can still hear it. Because when they're laying down there or whatever, when they're gone, they're gone. It's too late for you to say that and say that to them where they can really appreciate it. So that's my thing. Give people their flowers while they can still smell them. So I'm not talking about the physical flowers all the time. I'm talking about just loving them and giving them what they need while they're still here.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
go ahead, Mama. Continue. Go ahead and continue, Mama.
And my daughter is right. Um, Education is very, very important. We need to pour into our children, which we are not doing a lot of now. I don't see a lot of mothers these days pouring into their children. It's a must that we pour into our children, teach them values, moral values, and and to push them while we can to be the best that they can be. Right now, our system, and I'm gonna call it the world, is just bankrupt when it comes to moral values. When it comes to just lifting our children up, we have become bankrupt, and
Mm.
we need to get back to that, and we need to just lift our children and push them and push and push and push. No, my daughter, you would think I was the perfect mother the way that she's talking, and she knows that we have had our battles. When you love your children, when you love each other, you're going to have battles because as they grow up, they don't see the big picture. But as a parent, you see the big picture. And so I'm not a perfect mother. No, there's no perfect mothers. Mothers are going to make mistakes. Yes, they are going to make mistakes. But it's one thing that mothers should do is to make sure that you pour into your children. Let your children know that you love them. My regret is that as a single parent, I worked two jobs. So I worked all day, and my daughter was a latchkey kid, and back then there were a lot of latchkey kids. They had that key around their neck. They knew what to do, what not to do. Um, you train them up. You train them up. So yes, she was a latchkey kid because I was working two jobs, and sometimes for my evening job, I would pick her up. I think, Deanna, don't you remember we would go over to the high school because I taught adult education, and
Yes.
I would take
Yes.
her over there with me, and those adults would just baby her and everything else. But I picked her up and took her over there with me. But as a mother, we have to provide for our children physically as well as emotionally, and push them. My mother raised us to be my sister and I to be strong black women, strong black women. I have a thing when I see a black woman allowing people just to push over them, especially males, just use them, because we as strong black women, we are pouring into our daughters, and sometimes your daughters will pick up on what you're doing, and then they become, and I'm gonna call, slaves for men. And what you want to do with your daughters is not have them to be a slave to men. You want them to be strong black women where they can stand on their feet.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Mama, before I let you go, tell the people what was it like raising Deanna Bailey, Dr. Maat?
It was
Well,
rough. It was truly rough raising my daughter that you see there. As I said, the word tells us to train up a child, because when they become grown, or they will return to their training. They may stray away, but they return to their foundation. But my daughter is a very, I'm gonna call it a high strung, aggressive person. And as I said, we battle. Believe you me, we battle in those formative age, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yes, yes, yes. But mothers have to sometimes give a little, and then they have to stand their grounds in order for children to just be the best that they can be. But yes, that's the young lady that you see there right now is very aggressive, which is good, but also very high strung, as they call it. So, so raising a daughter such as her um, was not easy. And we did have a village. It does take a village to raise children. Um, Rosa, my girlfriend, we have been, Deanna has been knowing her ever since Deanna was born. So when Deanna couldn't talk to me and we couldn't talk it out, she would go to her Aunt Rosa. She would talk to her Aunt Rosa about it, or she would go to my sister and talk to my sister about whatever. But it's good that children have some place to go when they can't talk to you or feel that they can't talk to you, that they can talk to someone who will give them good advice. um, so mothers, I'll say to you, there's no perfect mother. We're going to make mistakes, and I want to leave you with this. Yes, there are women who have carried and their birth children, but are they mothers? And that's the question. Are they mothers?
Say it, mother. Say that, ma. Say that again. I didn't hear you say that. Say that again, ma. Is women who birth children, but are they what, ma? You gotta say that again for the
Are
people in
they
the back of the room.
mothers? Are they mothers? Because a mother is one who cares for her children physically, emotionally, one who have affection for her children. And women are just having children and just throwing them away. So a mother and just birthing a child is two different things. And a mother is much harder than just having a child.
Come on, ma. Everyone in the chat, they said yes, ma'am. Come on,
You
ma.
you have to give of yourself. Give of yourself. And a lot of these uh, um, uh, parents these days, and some of them are young, they don't want to give of themselves. They want to go ahead and they want to live their life. And they don't understand once you have that baby, your life is no longer your life. And your focus have to be on your child or on your children.
Ashe, Ashe. Well, Mama, thank you so much for coming on and blessing us, with that wisdom that you just poured into us. I love you, Mama. I
Love
salute
you too.
you. I salute
Love
you,
you too.
Mama. You are the queen of my heart. I was actually, I'm probably getting ready to tell on myself. I was in the car. I was in the car earlier today, right? And it's Mother's Day, so I was getting together this playlist for tonight. And I was initially playing my Tupac, Dear Mama, and I was okay. And then I started playing Boys to Men, Mama. Mama, I'm in the car, my driving to the cleaners, just crying in the car, like not crying family. I mean, I was literally snot crying because when you get older and you see your parents for who they are and you gain that appreciation, the words just have a completely different meaning. And so I'm listening to the words and I just started I was driving to the cleaners. I'm telling you, snot crying. I'm going like this, trying to operate my vehicle. And like I said, the words just take on a new meaning. The words take on a new meaning, Mom. And so I love you. I love you with everything in my heart, Mama. Happy Mother's Day to you, Mama. I'm sorry, Mama. What'd you say? As
I
you muted.
said, no, I said thank you and I love you. You know, I love you with all my heart. And I want to say this one last thing before I leave because um, and Deanna know that when I was principal, we were in a disadvantaged area to school, and she knows that. And we had children at the school who would come very hungry, didn't have anything to eat, and they would come looking any kind of way. The teachers and there was a village there. They knew that they could be safe there. They would come in. We had washcloth. We had food that we would keep so that we could feed them whenever they got there. And one day we had a little boy, a second grader, who came to school with his little sibling in a stroller. Um, and we took care of that baby and we took care of him and washed him up, fed him, and sent him to class because the mom, we couldn't get in touch with the mom and they didn't know where the mom was. But we took care of that child and the baby until we could get in touch with someone who could come and get the child. And these type of things we got to do. We have to look out for our children. We have to invest in our children, and look out for them and love them no matter what. So my also, you have to realize, because you have the children, they love their mother beyond, no matter what mom do to those little children, they love their mother. So the mother and a child has a bond that's there. And no matter how much they cuss at them or hit them or whatever, those children love their mothers, no matter what, because of that bond that they have there. But but as I said, everyone is not a mother. But please, 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 just look out for the children. If you see them and they're hungry or whatnot, feed the children.
That's right.
If you know them, go get, they raggedy or whatever and don't have clothes or clean clothes, go on and get them some clean clothes and put on them, because you don't know where these mothers are or what they're doing. These children love their mothers, so we have to look out for the children.
Well, Mama, thank you for your words of wisdom. Ashe. Ashe. Thank you so much, Mama. All right, family. So you heard from my mama. Up next is my village mother. She's a village mother, my Aunt Rosa. But before I bring on Aunt Rosa, I gotta play this song. I told you, family, I had a playlist together, put a playlist together for you all. Come on, y'all. Who know about the Intruders? You all too young for that type of music. The Intruders. Well, shoot, I'm too young for that. I'm a 80s baby. You only get one. You only get one.
Sometimes I feel so bad when I think of all the.
Come on, family, share this show. Share this show. Tonight, your sister, Dr. Maat, is paying tribute to the mothers. So share this show, family. Let's get some more mothers in the building. I appreciate everyone who's in the building tonight. Shawnee, I see you in the chat. You need to get your butt on this panel. Come on, y'all. I will always love my mama.
She's my favorite girl.
You only get one, you only get one. What y'all know about that?
I always love my mama. She's born the endless world. A mother's love is so special. It's something that you can't describe. It's the kind of love that stays with you until the day you die. She taught me little things like saying hello and thank you, please, while scrubbing those clothes on a rainy day. Oh, she's one of a kind. You got yours and I got mine.
I see you rocking out with me, Zane. I see you. Everything is everything. I always love my mama. You only get one. You only get one. Huh? Me in the world.
I'm talking about mama. Sweet old mama.
I always love my mama. Yes, family. Oh yes, Zane, I see you. You said I love my stepmother too. That's right. There's different kind of mothers, right? Godmothers, stepmothers, village mothers, right? All kind of mothers. Biological and non-biological, right? Oh, you hear the beat. Mm. All right, all right, all right. I'm getting ready to bring my aunt Rosa, my auntie, my godmother. She's my godmother and she's my aunt. Up next, we have my aunt Rosa. How you doing tonight, auntie?
I'm doing so awesome. I'm so honored to be here, and I am just so proud of you. And I appreciate you honoring me as your part of your village, as your godmom. I love you, Dee.
I love you too, auntie. I mean, I'm telling you, it was just a pleasure seeing you. I just saw you 2 weeks ago. I drove down to where you are, literally, and it was crazy because when you left, I remember you had when you initially left Baltimore, and it's just, auntie, you know how when people are like right around the corner, you take that for granted because they're right
Mm.
around the corner. But then when they're gone, they're not right around the corner. You're like, dang, gone. Dang, I wouldn't mind going fishing with Aunt Rosa or eating some of her good fried fish. And now I got to drive 5 hours, right? Just to get to her. So it was beautiful, just seeing you and hugging you 2 weeks ago, and you've been gone actually for a few years, and we kind of saw each other. You come in town, or
Mhm.
but this was the first time that I actually drove down to where you
Yes,
are,
yes.
and I said, I gotta step it up. I gotta step it up, auntie, and make sure you just put that time in with the people that you love.
Mhm.
Because as my father would always say, he used to say, Deanna, we're only here. And he would snap his fingers for a moment. The earth has been around for billions of years, but he said human beings, we only here for a moment. And so it's just imperative that an incumbent that we spend time with the people that we love and the people that we hold nearest and dearest to our hearts. And you're one of those folks, Aunt Rosa. As my mother stated before you came on, I've known you my whole life. You and my mom, you
Mhm.
all were friends when you all were like teenagers. I think she said she met you when she got to Coppin
Wait,
or
yes,
something.
first year in college.
First year in college, so you all have been rolling, for
Mhm.
what, 50 years now, and about
Okay, well,
50.
don't
Okay,
tell our
okay.
age.
So you all have been rolling some decades now.
Yes, yes.
And so you were there, when I was born.
Hmm.
And you watched me grow up. You was a part
Yes.
of my development. I remember when I would get locked out the house, you know, I would call you because you had a spare key. Or I
Yeah.
remember one time I had left the iron on, and I went to the principal's office, and I was like, I need to call my Aunt Rosa. And I called you, and I said, Aunt Rosa, I think I left the iron on. And you had went to the house and you unplugged the iron for me. And so I just have memories like that, spending time
Mhm.
with you, in your home, your children, Kevin and Kendra. They're like my cousins slash siblings, And in fact, your son is over here right now. He's actually downstairs.
Yeah.
He's downstairs watching buck breaking with us right now. Tonight, I have
Mhm.
like a whole house full of folks
Oh,
watching
wow.
buck breaking, and so Kevin is literally here while I'm having this discussion with you.
Well,
And
he
so,
told me that, D. I text him and I say, find D on YouTube. He say, I'm at the house. I said, okay.
yeah, so he's here. He's here. And after this, I'm going to run down there with them and watch the movie again. But Auntie, I just want to give you your flowers while you can smell them. Let you know that I love you. I honor you. I adore you. I
Thank
thank
you.
you. I appreciate all that you've done for me. I would not be the woman that I am today without your contribution, because I tell people we're just a product. And so all of the people who poured into me have
Mhm.
created this product. So if you start removing their contribution, then you start changing who I am. And so I just want to thank you for contributing to my growth and development, and contributing to the person, the spirit, the being that I am today, Auntie. So I just want to just give you your flowers while you can smell them.
Thank you, D. And
No
it's so
problem.
interesting. It's so interesting that you were the latchkey key kid, but my son didn't have to be a latchkey kid. because he would come to your house and you
Yes, I had Kevin. I was bullying Kevin too. He's just, boy, what you doing? Get your butt together, boy. He was like the little brother that I didn't have, like running around. But yes, he
hmm
wasn't. And I remember he was going to John Paul Regional
hmm
Catholic school. Yep,
And to see the
absolutely.
bond that you guys have now, from little kids now up to adults, and this how strong you guys are together.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's my road dog, Kevin. And so, Auntie, what do you remember? How I asked my mom this question. I said, Mommy, what was it like raising me? So what was that interaction between us, Aunt Rosa? Like, what did you observe about
The
me, when you raised me, while you were raising me?
well, the thing is, I remember you had a lot of energy, and you were very exciting. You were very outgoing. But one thing I do remember too, you're scared of dogs. So I had to let that secret out. But no,
Yes.
you were always very bright, and you were ahead of your age, very mature. Um, and you took a lot of responsibility. I mean, for you to watch Kevin, and then as you're growing up, when you follow right after your Uncle Matthew, in a sense, in the way that you love kids and you follow your mother, but I know you started grabbing the kids and doing different activities with them. You carried on something that one of your uncles used to do when you guys were little. He would,
Yes.
that's right, he would gather all his little nieces and nephews and take them to the IBM event that they would have every year.
Yep. At
And
King's
so
Dominion. Mm-hmm.
that's right, that's right. And so you kind of took on that family atmosphere. You value family. Even thinking about your older brother, and then your dad and your mom. You had your mother's sensitivity, and you had your mother's heart and mind, because you could tell you loved people, and you like doing the right things for people, and you like helping people. So you do that. I mean, you do just as your mom did, and you can tell that you have become a very strong, brilliant entrepreneur, and that all represent as how you were a child, because of seeing just the things that you did and the way you managed things. And then I remember how meticulous you were. I remember when you used to eat your chicken and you pour those little teeny veins out of the chicken. I said, now who eat chicken like that?
I did. I didn't like the veins. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this?
I can't think of anybody that noticed that part of the chicken. But Dee will pull it out very meticulous, and she does that with everything that she does. And I look at you when you were a child. Like I said, you were high energy, but you were smart. And to see how you blossomed into such a strong, brilliant young lady, and your mind, your frame of mind, you do so many things, and you don't stop, and you don't let somebody say, oh, you can't do that, because you know you're going to do it. So you can do anything, and will do and have done anything that you set your mind to. You have blossomed into a very strong young woman. I'm just so proud of you to even see some of the shows that you do. And when you did develop Meltrack, I just said, look at this. I said, look at her. Look at God's work.
Mm.
And having to have a very strong mother as you did, as well as two strong grandmothers, Mother Bailey and Mama. mm, I tell you, your grandma, I just love May Aunt Evelina.
Yes,
Mm,
yes, yes, yes.
very strong women. And I just love that you pursued and you stuck with the school and the college and getting that degree higher than your mother, because that's our thought as a mother. We want our children to do much better than what we have done. And sometimes we ruin our children by giving them too much because we didn't have a lot because we grew up very poor. And so sometimes we damage our children and trying to give them everything. But your mom, although she gave you a lot, material things, but she gave you a lot of mental things and intellectual things and pursued. And the thing is, they tell you, keep planting that seed, keep planting that seed. And sometimes they act like they don't hear you, but they hear you. They hear you. And sometimes they'll say how they regret it at a certain stage in their life that they reach, how they regret not listening to you back then, because I could have done this and then I would have been here. But you keep planting that seed into your child and you never give up on them. Sometimes you have to do tough love.
Yes. Yes.
You have to do tough love at times. And it hurts you more than it hurt them. But it works out. It works
Absolutely.
out. Mm-hmm. And I,
Absolutely.
go ahead, D.
No, no, go ahead. Finish your
Yeah.
thought, Auntie.
And see, I remember my mom, and she is 91. And when I was young, my mom was a single parent also, and she raised 7 children. And she said to me, she said, don't have no more children than you can afford. Well, of course, you know why she was saying that, because here she was a single mother raising several children, depending on the government to help support us. And so she didn't want me to fall into the same thing that she did, because my dad died at a young age. And so she wanted to make sure that I was able to take care of the number of kids that I had. And that was because she had so many that she had to take care of. And then I remember one time she said to me, and Anna was talking about mothers be mothers. My mom, and I know she didn't know that I heard her, but this man asked her, he said, well, when you gonna marry me? She said, but I'm married. And he said, you're not she said, yeah, I am. I'm married to my children.
Mm.
And my mother never married because she knew the value and having girls and having little girls, bringing a man into the house with little girls, and we had 2 brothers, but she knew that she had to take care of her children and she couldn't divide her attention between a man and her children. And so she valued her family. And that's something that I've learned from her too, is that, we got to take care of our kids. We can't let men treat our children any kind of way that we allow to come into our house. We can't allow these men to do things and treat our children any kind of way. We are responsible for the children that we brought into this world.
That's right.
We are responsible for them because they didn't choose to come here.
That's right.
We brought them here. And so that means we are to take care of them. Now, when they get to be adults, that's a different story. Because hopefully by then we have raised them well enough that they can be independent persons to take care of themselves.
That's right.
Yes. And
That's
I
right.
am also in agreement with Anna. Um, There are so many children suffering today. There are so many children whose mothers do not have the moral or the values that we grew up with our strong mothers. And so they don't know how to raise their children. And they allow them to go hungry or to not have clothes. And it's hard because when I taught in middle school, I spent most of my money was being spent on on the kids. If they needed something or they had dues that were due, I took care of that. And even today, I had said to myself one time, I'm not going to work with any more kids. I'm, I can't stay away from them. No matter where I am, I can't stay away from them. And anything that they need, a hug, you know, clothing or food, you had to give it to them because you wouldn't be a real mother
If you
if you
didn't.
didn't. And
Ashe.
although they are not your children, but yet they are your children. They are your children. And
That's
so
right.
you take care. When you see little kids, take care of them. You see those little squeegee boys out there, those little young boys, they're trying to earn some money. They're selling water. They're entrepreneurs. They are trying to do what they can to survive.
That's right.
So support them. Support them.
And like you said, Auntie, they are our children, and that's really the African way. We got away from the culture of our ancestors.
Mhm.
In traditional African culture, your child was my child. That's where the whole idea or concept of it takes a village to raise a child. That is an old African concept, and we've gotten away from that. Being in this Euro, well, while we've been existing in this Euro reality. You know, we've gotten away from a lot of those traditions. So, like you said, Auntie, your child is our child. My child is your child. You know,
Mhm.
nowadays it's this idea, oh, that's your child. No, 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 you can't. This is my child. This is your child. That, we've gotten away, back in the day, like I said, it took a village. But we got to get back to that mentality. Your child is my child.
Mhm.
Our child, your child is my child is your child. These are our children. Go ahead, Auntie. I think you wanted to say
Yeah, and,
something.
and I also want to say, I'm living down here in the South now, and I see the things that my church is doing. My church, um, they'll go knock on the door and grab kids out of bed to bring them to church. They expose them to golf, teaching them how to play golf, and we do it in the spring and fall. They do basketball with them. They teach them about technology and how to work the different kinds of things that you use to do
Beautiful.
this, screening in church. We try to get them into all kind of programs because if you don't expose the youth to it, they're not going to know what it's all about. So
That's right.
make sure that the mothers here, my church now has a flow team. They are doing cars, they are building a car from the ground, and they are um, teaching them how to race cars. And so they have a pit crew just like the real racers. And then they have the guys that's going to race the cars. And I'm saying all of that. And we're getting ready to bring drones in and do a drone group. So what
Ooh,
I'm saying to you, expose your kids. If you're working with kids or you're in churches, expose them to things that they normally would not have exposure to, because that's going to help build and grow our children and grow our race. So, I just want to put that plug in and see our
no, no,
mothers.
no. Beautiful.
Our mothers exposed us to as much as they could, but then going to college and going other people being that village, it helped you to be exposed to other things. And so I traveled a lot when I was a little girl because I'd leave Baltimore and come to North Carolina. I say travel a lot, but come to North Carolina where I lived with an aunt who was a teacher. And she would take me to different places. And so, of course, I wanted to become a teacher. Now, to tell you the truth, I wish I had somebody that exposed me to engineering and science. But then I had mentors as I was growing up in college, and I had a professor who said, Rosa, take a computer class. He said, now that's the coming thing. So you need to take a computer class. And I took a class, and then I got into technology and working for IBM. But the
I
key
remember.
factor is exposure, exposure, exposure for our children. Exposure and love, kindness,
Mm,
an ear, but be very also firm and keep telling them what they can do. Even though they say, well, I keep telling them what they can do because that will make them grow. So Deanna, and that's what your mom did. That's what your dad did. And you look at you. And that's what you are doing because you have grabbed onto some young folk. Um,
absolutely.
that's right. And so they are growing in leaps and bounds because of what you are exposing them to. So I want you to keep doing what you do and how you help others And just looking at you on the mic and watching some of your shows, and as I said, Mel Trek again, and all the other, I have to say that because
Thank you, Auntie.
I brought that down here to expose to some of my people that I work with, and they love it. So you just keep doing, because Deanna, there is nothing that you can't do.
I say, Auntie. And I owe you like
Ashe.
10, I owe you 10 activity books. I didn't forget about that. I still owe you 10 Mel Trek
Mhm.
episode activity books, Auntie. So I'm gonna make sure I mail those out to you, okay?
Yes, and there's one
Yes,
other
ma'am.
thing I have to say
Yes, ma'am.
is that took over, and you didn't. My son didn't have to be a latchkey, but you've also made my granddaughter a very happy young lady, and how you are now her role model, and how you've just grabbed her and you've taken her under your wings, because we know her mom passed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, in
And so,
2018.
yes, and so she looks up to you a great deal. And so you are her role model. And I'm expecting great things from her through what we do as a family, but for what her
Absolutely.
village is also doing. And you are a major part, and Anna is a major part of her village. And so I want to thank you for that and for what you do for young folk.
Thank you, Auntie. Don't get me on here crying on Rosa. I didn't bring you on here tonight, Auntie, so you could have people watching me snot cry. But yes, but she is Kaden. Kaden is my heart.
Mhm,
She's my heart. And I told, I made that promise. You were right there, when we got her Christian. And
mhm,
I was standing next to Kevin and Toya. And that
mhm.
was my promise. I remember you handed her to me, and that was the promise that I made,
Yes, you did.
to be there. And I'm working to make sure that I keep that promise. And so,
And
you know,
you're doing a great job of it. You are
thank
doing
you.
it. And she loves her D.
And I love her too. And I'm just honored that you and Kevin and even Toya thought that much of me to be her godmother. That really that meant the world to me. I was on cloud nine, just being asked to take on that sort of responsibility. It really touched me. So, Auntie, again, I love you. I appreciate you. I adore you, and I thank you for everything that you've done for me. So thank you so
Thank you.
much, Auntie, for coming
Thank
on.
you, D. And thank you for having me.
No problem, Auntie. You take care. Ooh, sorry,
That's
Auntie. What
okay.
did you
I
say?
just want to say goodbye to everybody and thanks for listening in. And
Uh,
also honor your mothers and call them and tell them you love them. One other thing, and I'm sorry, I know you're ready for me to go, but life is too short to not like or be angry with your mother. Don't ever be ashamed of your mother, because you are who you are today because of your mother,
the good and the bad.
the good and the bad. Love your mother. Take care of your mother. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Ashe.
Ashe.
All right, family. So up next, you're going to hear my father. He's going to come on and he's going to talk to you about my grandmother. I remember breaking down in tears one day talking to my father, and I'm probably getting a bit emotional now, recalling the conversation that I had with my father. But I remember reading on Facebook. There was a post that came up. It came on my feed and came up on my feed, and it said, "If there was one person that you would want to talk to, who would it be?" So I'm pretty sure some people, they were saying the ancestor. Like, so if there was an ancestor that you would want to talk to right now, who would it be? And I know some people would say, I want to talk to Harriet Tubman or Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or, Sojourner, Truth or whomever. And I called my father and I said, Pops, I said, the one person that I would want to talk to, I said, is my grandmother, Myrtle Bailey. She passed, I believe, in like 1983 or 1984. And at the time, I was a young girl. I was about 2 or 3 years old when she transitioned. And so I would want to talk to her and just pick her brain about different things. I've heard stories from my mother, from my aunt Rosa, from my aunt Shell about, how great and wonderful, and especially my dad, right? How great and wonderful my grandmother, Myrtle Bailey, was and is, because when we speak about our ancestors, we believe our ancestors are omnipresent. So I would say is. And so I would love to just sit down and pick her brain. And so what I'm going to do is bring my father up next, and I'm going to pick his brain to see what that is like, and to honor my grandmother tonight. But before we do, I have another song for you.
When I was pregnant in jail, I thought I was going to have a baby.
Happy Mother's Day, family.
With me, but I was acquitted a month.
Happy Mother's Day. Let's share this show, family. Let's get some mothers in the building.
Because I
share this show, family.
Me and my mama had beef, 17 years old, kicked out on the streets. Though back at the time, I never thought I'd see a face.
Ain't a woman alive that can take my mama's place.
Stranded from school, I'm scared to go home. I was a fool with the big boys, breaking all the rules. Shed tears with my baby sister.
Over the years, we were poor than other little kids.
And even though we had different daddies, the same drama when things went wrong, we blame mama. I reminisce on the stress I caused.
Share this show, family. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
And who thinking elementary? Hey, I see the penitentiary one day. Running from the police, that's right. Mama catch me, put a whoop into my backside. And even as a crack fiend, mama, you're always was a black queen, mama. I finally understand, for a woman it ain't easy trying to raise a man. You always was committed, a poor single mother on welfare. Tell me how you did it, there's no way I can pay you back. But the plan is to show you that I understand.
I appreciate it. Dear mama, you are appreciated.
Now ain't nobody tell us it was fair. No love for my daddy cause the coward wasn't there. He passed away and I didn't cry cause my anger wouldn't let me feel for a stranger. They say I'm wrong and I'm heartless, but all along I was looking for a father, he was gone. I hung around with the thugs, and even though they sold drugs, they showed a young brother love. I moved out and started really hanging. I needed money of my own, so I started slanging. I ain't guilty cause even though I sell rocks, it feels good
putting money in your mailbox.
I love paying rent when the rent's due. I hope you got the diamond necklace that I sent to you. Cause when I was low, you was there for me. You never left me alone because you cared for me. And I can see you coming home after work late. You're in the kitchen trying to fix us a hot plate. You're just working with the scraps you was given. And mama made miracles
every Thanksgiving.
But now the road got rough, you're alone. You're trying to raise two bad kids on your own. And there's no way I can pay you back.
But my plan is to show you that I understand. You are appreciated. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the women under the sound of my voice. Happy Mother's Day. Let's share this show, family. Let's share this show.
Pour out some liquor and I reminisce. Cause through the drama I can always depend on my mama. And when it seems that I'm hopeless, you say the words that can get me back in focus. When I was sick as a little kid, to keep me happy, there's no limit to the things you did. And all my childhood memories are full of all the sweet things you did for me. And even though I act crazy, I gotta thank the Lord that you made me. There are no words that can express how I feel. You never kept a secret, always stayed real. And I appreciate how you raised me.
And all the extra love that you gave me.
I wish I could take the pain away. If you can make it through the night, there's a brighter day. Everything will be alright if you hold on. It's a struggle every day, gotta roll on. There's no way I can pay you back.
But my plan is to show you that I understand. You are appreciated.
Don't you know we love you, sweet dear mama. Place no one above you.
You are appreciated.
Don't you know we love you, sweet dear mama. Dear mama.
All right, family. All right, we coming down to the wire. We coming down to the wire. So you see where Dr. Maat is coming. You see the stock that I come from. These people get on YouTube. You don't know where they come from, right? And who's molded them and groomed them. So you see who my village is. Tonight you met my mom. You met my aunt Rosa, who was a village mother to me. And now you're getting ready to meet the person that gave me my other set of chromosomes, right? Because we get two sets of chromosomes. One set of chromosomes from your mother, then you get the other one from your father. So who is this gentleman in the chat, in the backstage, in the broadcast, looking like me? Let me bring him up. I think he has my nose and my complexion. Let me see. Add him up. Add him to there. Hey, Pop Pops.
Hey, baby girl.
How you doing, Pop Pops?
I'm not complaining about a thing. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to see you, Pop Pops. It looked like you
This is
got
my
a
first
nice.
time. I've never done anything like this before, so it's a challenge to me, believe me.
No,
You
you're
know,
doing good. You're doing good, Pops. You're looking
so
good.
far
The
so
camera,
good.
the camera's nice and steady. So
No,
you
I don't
you're
know
looking
about that.
good.
I don't
you,
know.
you you're looking good and you sounding good. So family,
Lord
family,
bless
family.
you.
This
No.
is this is my father, Delano Bailey. So I
Mm,
just Pop Pops. I know that you heard
mm,
me when you were backstage, and I talked
mm,
about how um, if there was one person that I could meet, an ancestor that I could meet, that ancestor would have been my paternal grandmother,
mm,
your mother,
mm,
Myrtle Bailey. So I actually to come on a few days ago. I said, Dad, can you come on and just talk about my grandmother and just tell the people who she is, who she is, and what she means to you, what she means to our family. Because you tell me all the time, Dad, that I'm just like her, right? You say you're just like your grandmother, but
Well,
I don't see it.
do
You
you
see it. So
understand?
go ahead.
You don't see it? Well, I can tell you, it's like it's surreal. If anything was surreal, for me to see you in the flesh and to remember her once she was in the same, how similar you are, at the buck breaking premiere last Friday. You said to me something that she had already said maybe 30 years ago, the same exact statement. So I think there's already a connection, regardless of whatever I say or don't say about who you are and who she was. You have that relationship. I don't know how it happened. That's why I say it's so surreal. It's not funny. Because I remember when she wrote this poem, and it was about black men, and she made a similar statement that men are the barometer of the strength of the race. And you made a statement while you said you doing it off the cuff, but really you had repeated something that I heard from her. I said 30 some years ago, and it really was 30 some years ago, but a little more than that when she wrote this poem. And I wish I still had the copy of that poem that she had written at that particular time. But your grandmother, uh, my mother, was a powerful, powerful lady. Just last evening, I went to a funeral of an individual who grew up in the neighborhood, and um, one of the guys who was attending, he just leaned over to me. His name was Donnie Ellis. He leaned over to me and said, "I got to say this to you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Your mother had a big influence on my life, and I just wanted to be able to say it to you." That's all. He leaned over and he made that comment to me. But just to show you that that a lot of things that she had done, really and truly, still she planted seeds in the neighborhood, um, and and it's still growing. In manners in which we don't see because we don't see the people and how she affected it. But when they come to you and witness to you, you know that in fact those seeds are still growing. But she was a lady of new ideas. She was in a community, a depressed community, that she knew that needed a lot of things, and she surrounded herself with a lot of people who had new ideas in a place called Echo House. And believe it or not, Echo Houses was the first community center in Baltimore City. So when they came up with the idea, when her and her cohorts came up with the idea of having a community center back there in 1958, a little while ago, that uh, they had something that no other community in Baltimore City, as a matter of fact, had. But but it was just a collection of a whole lot of people who had a lot of ideas of how to go forward in growing this community. And you are absolutely right. It takes a community to raise a well-rounded individual, and it takes all the minds within the community to make that happen. Looking out for them as they grow, um, confronting them when they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and making sure that they know what their mission is as they grow. It's a fantastic thing that actually happened in that community, and not just to talk about Echo House, because it was a lot of things going on all at once. And last evening, I did also have an opportunity to talk to some of those people who grew up in the community, and they talked about some of those things. And this is without me spearing it on, because I do like to talk, but they actually came to me. I didn't know if the last evening was the opportunity I should take to say some things, because they came to me and actually stated that we had a very powerful community, but we didn't know how powerful it was. People stood together, um, and they made things happen. And as a result, we have now today, even after all that time, the Martin Luther King Community Recreation Center that was created back in 1967, before Dr. King was assassinated. So they
Teach
were,
pops.
yeah, they were thinking well ahead, long before he passed. Um, but the idea was to give him, the community, the flavor of we can do something about our own condition ourselves and not depend on other folks. Um, One of the things I like to talk about that's unknown to a lot of folks is the fact that they came up with this is because this is a group of people. We were going through, white folks were leaving the city big time, and they ended up with a lot of vacant buildings in the community. And one of the ladies, her name was Frances McDowell, Ms. McDowell, who was another mother in the community. And I want to lift her name up, because even though Myrtle Bailey was like the leader, this was one of the soldiers that led with her, who was just full of all kinds of ideas. And she came up with the idea of WATCU, Workers Allied Towards Community Unity. And they came up with the idea of taking these vacant buildings, and this is the 50s and the 60s, taking those vacant buildings and turning them into apartment buildings, turning them into usable structures, rather than just letting them dormant in the community, which recently, in the last 30, 40 years, that's all they've done. It's been vacant buildings, and nothing has been done with them. But during that particular time, folks came up with ideas of how to make use of these abandoned buildings. And what they actually did was they actually went to the federal government and asked them for grant money to renovate these buildings. Of course, the city shut them down and stole their money as much as they possibly could, so that these positive things in the community wouldn't happen. To show you that there are other folks who have these invisible hands that actually have impact on our communities, other than the mothers. The mothers be out there doing positive things, and other folks be out there trying to trip them up every time they get somewhere. So even though there was a lot of positive things going on, there was also some folks who were watching them, who were making sure that they didn't make a lot of progress. So it's a little bit of both. But my mother was not one of those people who, regardless of what system that threw at her, she was like she was prepared for them. I remember on one occasion, because she was a community activist, she ran into, I call it the highway that don't go nowhere. It starts up there on Pulaski Street and Marbury, Franklin and Marbury and Franklin Street, and come all the way down to Green Street, the highway that doesn't go anywhere. Um, and she ran her organization and her ran into to that situation where they tore down a whole black community, um, 2 blocks wide and about 12 blocks long. They tore that whole community out. And but at the time, she was also president of the Western Improvement Association, which I call their pocket organization. That's when they ran into situations that were external to the community, but they still had another community group who would confront whatever was going on. And so they did a lot of things in the community. Um, and that wasn't going to stop them from doing anything they needed to do in the community. But we talk about legal aid, but back in that day, they had to create legal aid. And I remember when my mother had gone to Seattle, Washington, and they had like 2 months of activities up there, and they came back to Maryland with this with this new idea of when you went to court, you would have somebody speak on your behalf, even if you didn't have the money to pay for it. Well, she was able to bring that back to Maryland and became the first secretary to legal aid in the state of Maryland. But to go on, I do also remember Volunteers in Service to America. That she was the first supervisor to that organization in the city of Baltimore, along with, like I said, creating what we call the Martin Luther King Community Rec Center and being the first director there for a period of time. But, you know, strong women run into, especially during this particular period of time, they run into people who say, well, a woman can't do this and a woman shouldn't be the head of this. And they really struck at her so much so it just wasn't funny. It wasn't fair because she was on point with what she did. They came up with not just her, but the ladies that she surrounded her with, and a few gentlemen with ideas to help us go forward. So we were. My mother had actually 8 kids, and she was raising the family all at the same time, and we were watching her. So the name of the game was to make a positive contribution wherever we might be. You're talking about loving kids. That's all I really ever did was work with kids. Other than some of the community groups that I worked with, other than that, it was during that particular time. I remember when we put together the weekend camping thing, where we would take approximately 20 to 25 kids to camp every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We come back Monday morning. This was during the summertime. We had a fantastic time being out there in Patapsco State Park and just being outside of the community for long periods of time, for days on our own. Of course, we had their blessings, and they prepared us for it. But that was a very, very interesting time in my life because I was responsible for a whole bunch of kids, and we had our incidences. As a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen who spoke to me last evening, he brought it up. Now, I can honestly tell you that I've gotten so old that I'm not going to be able to repeat his name because, he recognized me. I didn't recognize him. I'm not going to tell you that I did. That's how far back he was, because I'm talking about the early '70s, and I had just gotten out of the war, and this was like it was really grounding for me to have this interaction with the kids in the neighborhood, especially in a supervisory kind of position where I was responsible for something that you got to understand that being responsible for another human being, especially when you don't think that they know, no older than you are, but you're responsible for them, is a less a burden on a young person. But it was all she grew us. My mother had a way of growing you so that you would be everything that was whoever was expecting you to be. That you were all was all that they needed. So you were prepared, and that's what she made sure that you were. Um, she was uh, she was just when you can deal with a number of personalities and be effective in it. I just think that her mindset was just a whole lot different from my own. I'm used to thinking a certain kind of way, but she was one who thought she was a mother. She was a community mother, And when that guy leaned over and said something about it, I almost brushed him off because I heard it so much. I
Right.
remember when somebody had asked me the question as to her passing, and I got upset with him because I didn't think that I thought it was a little brutal, and it was only because I was so she was so much to me that even the question whether or not she was still here uh, sparked some kind of ear in me that I didn't even want to hear it because she was that kind of strong personality that loved you and she loved you completely, not love like mushy. Now she wasn't a mushy kind of love. She supported you, made you strong. Um,
Sounds
put
sounds
those
sounds familiar, right, Pops? When you see my interaction with Harvey and Isaiah, it
absolutely, and that's
sounds
what I'm really
familiar.
talking about.
Like I love them, but I'm not like. Well, sometimes I
No,
give them that gushy, gushy, gushy. But
yeah, yeah, yeah. She was.
I'm very firm, very firm with my boys.
I know,
Yeah.
D. I know who you are, really and truthfully. I notice how you react to even some of your senior scholars that you talk to. You want them to contribute, and it's all well and good that they do, and you let them be the experts. And notice my words. I say you let them be the experts, but the idea was, as long as they was on the straight and narrow and was doing and was projecting or giving information like they supposed to, you was completely satisfied with that. But you keep on the straight and narrow, and that's who you are, and that's who she was.
Well,
Um,
Pop
I,
Pops, let me interject because we're getting
mm,
ready to wrap up.
mm,
My question to you is this, Pops, and I know this is like a sidebar, but what and I asked my mother this, I also asked Aunt Rosa this. What was it like raising Dr. Maat, Dr. Deanna Bailey, D used to call me Tootsie Poo. So what was it like raising Tootsie Poo?
Tootsie Poo was different from any kid that I have ever met before. I can honestly tell you that because uh, I remember when you was in either second or the third grade, you had a young guy was in your class, and whatever he did, you made sure that you did something greater or better, and you was in competition to him. But he seemed to have been a child who had a lot of skills, who was parented correctly, and was exposed to a lot.
Christopher Meisenbacher. He was a white boy.
Yeah, he
Christopher
was the right boy.
Meisenbacher. Yeah.
But you was placed there to show him that he was nothing but an average young person, just like you. You knocked him down the sides in every instance that you could, because you were definitely competition to from what you told me, and you always wanted to do a better job than he did, whatever this task was.
Hmm.
But that's how you were. You were very competitive. You were very smart, and it didn't matter the subject matter. That was the most extreme thing that I think. If I could use extreme, um, you were just a natural person that had so many skills. It didn't matter what it was. You were good at both mentally and physically, um, and you could be anything you wanted to be. And so, and I read. Okay, I'm gonna tell you really what comes to mind immediately once you ask me that kind of question. I remember when they had given you, and this is long before the third grade. This is when you were in early childhood development. They had a Thanksgiving. They had a poem that they wanted the children to memorize, and then Christmas they had a poem. But the difference in the poems was that on Thanksgiving it was like 14 to 28 lines, and I thought that was a bit much for you to come to me and say, "Well, Pop," which you always did. I had to listen to your poems over and over and over and over again. So okay, so Dee tells me that she has this Thanksgiving poem that she wanted to repeat, she wanted to recite. And so I'm saying, daggone baby, you remember all those lines? Yeah, but then you wanted to do it over and over and over and over. I had to hear it. My job was to listen. So that's what I did. So that was then. And then a couple of weeks later, you say, Pop, I got this, this poem I want to recite to you. I said, but baby, you just finished reciting it to me 1,000 times. Why do you want to do it again? No, there was another poem, and this poem was like twice as long, but this was a Christmas poem. Golly, day. But what you had done was, in about 2 days or less, you had memorized all these lines, and I'm talking about more than 28 lines this time. I didn't understand
Hey,
how you could memorize all that stuff in such a short period of time.
Pops, I just want to say this. You were like my guinea pig. You remember when mommy had bought me the Tasty Bake Oven, right? And
Oh my goodness.
I remember I was trying to cook on my little Tasty Bake Oven, and
Yeah,
I would say,
yeah.
"Dad, you got to eat this," and you would
Uh-huh.
eat it. You actually ate it. I don't know. I don't know. As an adult, I don't know whether you really ate it. As a child, you made me think that you ate my food on my Tasty Bake Oven, and you told me that my food was good, right? But I don't know whether you really ate it. You might have just put it in your mouth and then spit it out when I wasn't listening. I mean, when I wasn't looking. But
No,
you always like my like, let me try this out on Pops first. And
mhm.
then, I
See,
can do this.
I remember. See, this I remember you told me one time. You said, "Pop, you don't remember this," but some things that you do remember. Like I'm just telling you about these poems. I know you probably don't even remember that. You
No,
don't remember that.
I don't remember the poems, but I do remember using you. You, like I said, you was like my guinea pig. Let me try this out on my
Okay.
Pops.
Right,
And
right,
so,
right, right. I believe that. I
but
believe it. But I did eat it, and
you
you
did
did
eat it.
yeah, and you did a good job. Now, remember your mother's a professional educator, okay? I never told you that she was a good cook.
You know what?
I never
You know
told you
what?
that.
Well, Pop Pops,
No, yeah.
thanks for coming on, Pop Pops.
Mhm.
Do you have any closing words? Because we're getting ready to wrap up. Do you have any closing
Okay.
words for the mothers out there?
This is Mother's Day, D, and I'm gonna tell you the other part that you being a daughter, you've been a fantastic daughter because first you made sure that you kept a relationship with your dad, irrespective of what has gone on in your life. You made for me, as your dad, I can say that I'm a very happy father, and that the things in which the road that you've traveled, you've taken me with you, and you've gone in a lot of different directions. You've done a lot of things, but you also are a mother, and you are a loving, kind, smart, firm mother who has exposed her kids to. Just the other week, you introduced the crowd that was gathered at Terra Cafe to one of your students who has been successful since he's left you. And it's just an example of what you do with your kids. You make them strong enough so that when they go out and venture into this world, that they're just not out there, but they are out there with the equipment necessary to succeed in life. And that's the strength that you present to them. So all of that I can say to you, D, is that the reason why I try to keep my distance a little bit is because you're on your way and you're doing great things, great things, things I have never even conceived of in a million years. It's really the truth, regardless of whether or not whatever I might do. You are just, I mean, I say you're a great lady. You really are. From my perspective, you remind me so much of my mother that I can't add to it. I can't add to the script. You have done. You're strong. You're forward and progressive. Uh, you're a critical thinker. Your memory is fantastic, and you're raising these kids in a way in which they won't. They may not appreciate it right now, but they will in the future uh, appreciate all that you are about. And you are, I would say that continue to do the things that you've done. I wish that you would, I wish that you would fall in love with politics because you are a leader, regardless of what I may say about you. You are a leader. And I just look at, the area that we as black folks in Baltimore uh, and we're in a fix where we do have a need for strong leadership. And and I did talk to some people who want to get you into the Martin Luther King Rec Center.
Good. Because I was,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, beautiful, Pops. Because I really want the Martin Luther King Center on Mount Street to be my base. But,
So
thank you.
remember Ruth Kirk?
Yes, I remember
Well,
Delicate
this
Ruth Kirk.
well, Delegate Ruth Kirk's son is running it, and all you got to do is tell him the relationship that you've had with his mom, because that's why he's doing what he's doing. He
Okay,
said for that woman,
yeah, I didn't know that her son was over there. But
yes.
I'll
I'm
definitely make sure,
telling
Pop Pops, that I
you.
reach out to him. Thank you so much, Pop Pops, for being on the show. Family, you see my family, you see my village. You've met my parents tonight. You've met my aunt Rosa. There's a couple of other people who couldn't make it tonight because some people are out of town because of Mother's Day weekend. But I come from a village, and you see that I am merely a reflection of my village. Pop Pop, I love you. Thank you so
I
much
love you too.
for coming on. All right, family. So this is my going out song for all of the mothers. I see my mother still in the chat or still in the broadcast. My aunt is still in the broadcast. My father, you're still here. But I'm gonna bring you all in for this last song. Thank you so much. This is the last song, family, dedicated to the mothers. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Oh, Aunt Rosa, there go your son. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. I was boohooing crying listening to this earlier. Brother Ukata, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your unwavering support. I see you, Shawnee. Your butt should have been on this platform tonight.
Miss Shawnee,
Home. Happy Mother's Day from us to you. Peace,